South Korea is warning of a stern response if there's any further deterioration of relations with the North. Seoul's reaction comes after North Korea blew up a joint liaison office on the border. It stood as a symbol of inter-Korean reconciliation. And for more on the situation on the Korean peninsula, we're joined by Dr. Kim Byoung-joo, head of Kim Lee and Partners, who joins us from Seoul. Dr. Kim, so North Korea blew up the inter-Korean liaison office, and that was in Kaesong. What should we make of this?
Well, overall, North Korea is making its best effort to meet the needs both domestically as well as internationally. Domestically speaking, at home, they have their own troubles because of the coronavirus. For instance, they have about 90% of their trade with China cut off. So that's added on difficulties on the economic side on top of the U.S. imposed sanctions. So they want to kind of like make sure that people are in line rather than people accumulating their unhappiness and then making it expressed somehow. So it's a domestic political reason for one. And then secondly, of course, in terms of dealing with the United States, with the November U.S. presidential election coming up, of course, it's obvious that the United States does not place its priority on the North Korean issues. And that makes North Korean situation very tough because they are under economic sanctions and all these difficulties. So they are calling for certain actions from Washington without actually, I guess, realistically expecting something out of it, but at least some kind of concession from Washington or Seoul altogether. Looks like it's a sign of desperation. And on top of it, the way I see it, in the fall, there will be U.S.-Korea joint military exercise scheduled. And also North Korea have their own party gathering and so on. So with this situation continuing on, North Korea may be actually preparing their foundation for provocation big time in the fall, such as launching of additional ICBM or SLBM or some kind of something big, adding progress in their weapons development. I mean, if they keep a good relationship with South right now, all of a sudden they cannot turn around and do that. But now this is for them to take actions towards that kind of direction so that they can some kind of make their footprint in a way and making progress forward, to the extent possible.
It sounds like you think that they are planning sort of further or an escalation of steps. Tell us a bit about the symbolic nature of the value of the joint liaison office that was the target here.
The liaison office was set up, I think, in my recollection, 2018 in the fall, and that followed the 2018 April joint declaration or summit meeting between the two leaders, Moon and Kim, at Panmunjom. So in terms of the actual years of that building itself is not that long, but the building actually was renovated and then developed from the previous cooperation office, Kaesong Industrial Complex Cooperation Office, which was a very important symbol for inter-Korean cooperation that began ever since, I guess, year 2004. 2004, December was the time when Kaesong Industrial Complex was first set up, and then they established this cooperation office 2007 December, and this has been used as a venue for inter-Korean discussion even before, as I said, 2018 September, development of calling this as a liaison office altogether. But since 2018, in my own recollection, South Korean government has put in about 17 billion won, Korean won. So that's about 17 million US dollars or so to build the building and maintain the building throughout the time. So indeed, it kind of symbolizes inter-Korean cooperation to whatever extent that has existed for about a decade or so in the past. And now the building, modern building, good looking, very new, brand new looking building, blown up in pieces. It kind of tells us a lot about the current status of inter-Korean relations and then and then North Korea's posturing.
All right, speaking of North Korea's posturing as well, let's look at North Korea's sister. After all, she is the one that gave this warning to the defectors in South Korea to stop these leaflets. Do you think she's gaining prominence in North Korea?
Yes, on her personal level, I guess that probably is the case. But the thing is, fundamentally speaking, the big picture is Kim Jong-un himself cannot be doing this because North Korea still has in mind, for example, the future inter-Korean summits if situation turns around, or even summit with Donald Trump. So Kim Jong-un is not in a position to rash out like his sister does at this point, and then all of a sudden turn around and then make a new face. So that's the reason why his sister, Kim Yo-jong, is on the front lines, and then she's taking this job of having to offer these kind of harsh words and harsh statements. But we should keep in mind, she was also on the front lines when North Korea was engaged in peacemaking gesture, 2018 and so on. She led the delegation to visit the Winter Olympic Games, for instance, and then she led the delegation a few times more to visit South Korea to talk about peace. And she was on the side of her brother, at both, at all the summit meetings so far. So she has several different hats to wear, and this time for hers is that of hostility.
Thank you for giving us your perspectives this evening, Dr. Kim Byoung-joo, head of Kim Lee and Partners.